Welcome to Let's Talk Business. I'm your host, James Price. This podcast has been designed to address business pain points, often neglected, but if dealt with correctly, can really enhance business value and performance. I've had over 30 years experience in business, and I currently own JPO Business Proprietary Limited, a business valuation, advisory, and transaction firm. We help private business clients across Australia and internationally grow, change, and enhance the value of their businesses. Welcome back to the Let's Talk Business podcast. I'm James Price, your host, and today, have we got a treat? We've got two young guns from Penrith in New South Wales, and these gentlemen have set up a new business approximately 3 years ago. It's a health, fitness, personal training business. I'm delighted to have them here with us. Clayton Karaka and Cristian Cordova, directors of True Exercise Science. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, it's great to have you along.
Nice intro.
Before we go on, talking about the intro, I should know the intro pretty well. Bit of a disclaimer to my audience. I have got a bit of a vested interest. I am a client of your business, so I feel the pain from time to time. But that said, I'm really excited to talk about True Exercise Science and Clay and Cristian, your journey and what you've built. I want to start at the top shelf, actually.
Blue label.
Yeah. I want to start at the top shelf. So I think before Christmas last year, if I'm not right, you gentlemen happened to win a business award. Is that right? The Penrith Business Award. Tell us about that. I'm interested to know that. I think that was a bit of a milestone for you.
So we took out the local fitness service in the Penrith city. So yeah, we just signed up. Didn't really know too much about it, to be honest. Yeah. People were like, sign up to this. We had a business coach at the time. Said, make sure you sign up for this, register. We did. We registered. Then we were nominated as finalists. To be honest, we were tossing and turning whether to go because we looked at how much the tickets were. If I'm being brutally honest, we're like, man, should we even go to this?
Humble beginnings.
Humble beginnings. So, on the cutoff day, we're like, nah, let's go for it. So we showed up on the day, not knowing what to expect, and yeah, it was definitely a lot of a bigger event than what we anticipated. But yeah, once we got there, they were announcing winners, and yeah, it turns out after that we were nominated as the winners for the fitness service of the year. So. Yeah, massive achievement and milestone for us.
Well, it is a massive achievement. And, at that stage, what was your business, 3 years old, roughly?
Yeah. Just about 3 years. Yeah, just about to hit the 3, yeah.
Yeah. Why do you think you won the award?
Well, probably a lot of different reasons.
Well, tell us. Let us in on the secrets.
I'd have to say, to be honest, the biggest thing would be our community.
Yeah.
So I guess, they're the ones that voted for us. The people that support our business, our clients, members, or friends, family, they're the ones that have, helped us to build up to the level where we are right now. So as much as we can try to do our part, if we didn't have their support, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it comes down to the community that we've been able to build and, the enormous support that we have from them. And, we've always had a massive support since we started. So yeah, that's been the biggest thing for us, in my opinion.
I also think on top of that, what Cristian said, obviously our community, but I think people do notice how we are in the community and around, and they see the drive that we have, they see the passion, they see the commitment, how much we love helping out our clients and our community in general. Yeah. So I feel like that was definitely a reason why even our clients' community wanted to help us out, because they know how much we're passionate about what we do and how we help our communities. So that was probably a massive factor for us as well.
It's really interesting, isn't it? So how do you engage a community? Because it's like some of my listeners will be listening to this and thinking, well, gee, I'd love to do that. Like I sponsor the local team, or I support a charity or whatever as a business owner. But my sense is you're talking about more than that, right? I mean, so how do you do that? Like, it's I'm interested to know. Is Is there a rule book around that, or some ingredients that you can help us,
Definitely no rule book, or there's no secret. I guess for us, it's just like, going back to Clayton said, it's our passion. So we're passionate about delivering the best service and best outcome that we can for our clients. So, how do we personally do that with the community is we always try to find innovative methods to, keep them engaged with their training. But on top of that is bringing them into the community so they feel that they're connected and part of something. So, in our age where everyone's so focused on social media, we try to, when you're at the gym, help you connect with other people and feel part of something. Yeah. So for us, our community is a bit more like a family, as something that you would know, and we try to always go above and beyond. So it's not so much just, saying, oh, we'll do this for you, do that for you. It's actually, you got to put a lot of time and effort into it. So, when you go home, always reaching out, engaging, and just always being present and, being willing to help people out. So not always putting yourself first, but actually being like, all right, what do these people want to do? And I guess, our passion has always helped us to, find new ways and new methods to continue on improving that.
That's interesting, right? Like, I think, we're all after a silver bullet to fix things up in business and in life for that matter. But my sense is, what you've talked about there is it's almost you've got to have a longer term focus, haven't you? Right? So it sounds like, it's, if you're prepared to demonstrate the care factor and build a family, like that doesn't happen overnight, right? So that's fascinating, right? I think, and congratulations on the award, right? I mean, I guess awards are one thing, but how's the business going, right? In terms of, you started, say, 3.5 years ago. When you look at where you're at, how do you feel about it?
Like, to be me personally, I feel like generally we've done an outstanding job. Me and Cristian, we were very critical of ourselves, always wanting more, always wanting to be better for TES, always wanting to improve services, obviously have better outcomes for our team and community. But like overall, like if I look at how we both started off, like, not really the most knowledgeable people and dedicated people to our education to start off to where we started building into our college, into uni, taking a big step of starting our own business. Like, I'm very proud of us, and like, I've watched us both develop and grow over the years personally, but even in business mindset as well. So like our business is still always growing and growing and growing. I've seen a lot of change. Like I said, I've seen a lot of change, and I've seen a lot of development. And yeah, it's really cool to see. Like,
what's changed the most for you?
Huh? If I'm looking on a personal aspect, I guess being more like just learning to be more patient, learning to be more vulnerable, more open to people, more open to suggestion. Getting help from other people, things like that. What else has changed for me? On a business perspective, I'm definitely more engaged and dedicated to, focusing on improving the business in ways. So like looking at financial positioning and finding ways to be more innovative, like Cristian said, in our business to, have that spark and that special sauce that, people see in businesses and teams. So, I'm definitely more headstrong when it comes to those things. And I feel like I'm a lot more, I pick up on those cues with people as well, and go from there. So that's kind of how I've developed as a person, and even as like a business person. So
yeah, that's interesting. I'd like to hear your views, Cristian. I just reflect on that a little bit though, Clay. Like, what I'm sort of taking out of that is you've got a business that, let's call it a motor, right? Well, in a way, you're trying to tune it up all the time. Yeah. But then there's this spark element that you've got to keep going that's kind of outside the motor, right? Which is that little bit of extra, which my sense is, you go back to your community piece, that's going to be a key, right? Because that sort of, it engages people on a different level. Versus just a motor running. Yeah, maybe. What about for you, man? If you reflect back on, how the business has grown from where it started to today. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, definitely do feel very proud of what we've been able to achieve in the short period of time. We are always, wanting more. So sometimes we do get too caught up in like where we want to be.
Yeah.
And we do have those. I do have those moments, where I need to like sit back and just look at everything that we've been able to achieve, like in this short period of time. But overall, yeah, I'm definitely proud of what we've been able to create and what we've been able to provide for the Penrith community. Like on a personal level, I think for me the biggest thing has been, to be honest, my confidence. Growing up, I was very like shy. Always like kept my head down. Like I never really had the confidence to, put myself in situations where I had to, be a leader in a way. Like whether it be like within myself or like at the moment like training people or the training that I'm doing myself or with family. Whereas I think this role has helped me to really develop that confidence to, I guess, let go of my past and be able to just reach for the stars.
Yeah, that's really interesting, eh? So what unlocked that? Like, was there a moment where that switch flicked, or that suddenly the shy Cristian, back in the early days, suddenly changed to a assertive animal, so to speak? No, just teasing.
I don't know if there's like a specific like moment, but I guess in this role, like you have to be able to, like when you're leading classes, an example, you have to be like put yourself on the spot. Like you can't be shy. Like you have to be the center of attention, because you have to be providing that energy, the motivation and stuff. And that's not something that was my strong point. And to this day, it's something that I still always really have to work on to make sure I can deliver that, quality of service. So
that's
coming from someone who always tried to avoid those situations to, essentially having to learn the skills to develop as, a coach, when it comes to speaking to people, not be so soft-spoken, like actually, learn to raise my voice. I remember when I first started, I felt like I was like yelling. I felt like I was screaming, but people still couldn't hear me. So, just little things like that as a coach, it's really helped me like in my personal and family life, just to be able to speak up and just, continue to grow and develop.
That's a really interesting insight. I'd like to come back to that because I think I'd like to explore the qualities of a good coach, because I think that's important. It's important in your industry, but it's also important in business more broadly. So, I'm a bit older than you guys, but I'll try and remember that and come back to it.
Yeah.
But before I do, there's a lot in this discussion, right? Because I want to talk to you guys about your partners in a business, right, and how that works. But before we do that, like we individually, what's your journey been? Where have you come from? Are you locals, or did you go to school in the area? Did you know each other? How'd you grow up? And were you always destined to get together and run this business, or did that just come out of a pipe dream over something from the top shelf one day?
Well, I come from a family of 6 boys, so naturally I've always been into like kind of the physical side of a lot of things. Yeah. So unlike opposite the Cristian, I've come from a very loud and outspoken family and just go. Yeah. So I've always had a passion for training and being physically fit, active, just for like sports and performance and that kind of thing. Yeah. And I wanted to look good too. So as a young buck, you always want to look the best you can. Yeah.
You're still working on that, right?
Yeah, mate. I'm still trying to get there. Trying to make those sleeves hugged snugly on those arms. So
I noticed you covered yourself up today.
Yeah, humble beginnings again, mate.
I thought
my time to shine.
No, but I've always been passionate about like fitness in general. Yeah. It's just always been one of those things I've always drawn myself back to, regardless of what I do. I've always just been, always wanted to train on a daily, always worrying about health, always trying to figure out ways to improve myself, become better physically. Yeah. That was a big thing for me. So, that's how I kind of came up and got myself into this. So, I think from there, like I met Cristian through the gym. So we didn't meet each other through school and stuff. I met him through some mutual friends. Okay. And then we just both, have the same interests. And, one thing leads to another. You have the same interests with someone, you start hanging out with them, or you start seeing them, or, start being around them a bit more often. So, you know, I'm pretty sure Christian's the one who mentioned he was doing a college foundation course
Right.
to get into uni or something like that, and like just trying to trigger in my mind because I was about to go to the army at the time, and I canned it, and I'm like, you know what, I don't know if I want to do that. So I kind of just went with that. That was the starting thing for me.
Really?
Yeah. So that's how
Neat.
it worked, and then, you know, like we started carpooling together, started doing the same units, times, and schedules together, similar times. Purely basically it saves money from driving individually. Like I was so worried about money back then. I'm just like, well, you know, I still am, but like back then, like, you know, $5 was crucial.
Yeah.
So I'd make sure you know, any way it could be, like, you know, cost aware or money aware I would. So yeah, that's how I started off.
That's neat. And you both went to, what did you study? You went to Western Sydney Uni?
Yeah, Western Sydney College. Our degree is sport and exercise science.
Okay. Yeah, that's neat. I want to come back a bit on that dark past of yours in a minute, but Cristian, help me understand yours. So you're local Penrith as well?
I was born overseas. So I was
overseas? Where were you born?
I was born in Chile.
In Chile. Yeah.
So I come to Australia when I was 8 years old. So I guess when I had that move to Australia, that's when you know, coming to a country, like I couldn't speak English. So I literally rocked up to school, couldn't speak to anyone, like, you know, it was a massive thing. So I guess from there, that's when I was always like, you know, always try to reserve myself. I was always, you know, second guessing my language or if I can speak well or everything. So I guess that's when I started to really like lacking confidence a little bit. But I was about 8 years old growing up. To be honest, I picked it up pretty quickly. My childhood, like pretty unstable childhood. Always had things going on. You know, it wasn't the greatest
some real
upbringing.
challenges,
Went through a lot of challenges with that. But it was when I was in about year 10, I think it was, I started like going to the gym after school. And then, to be honest, the way I got into the training was because it was my little escape from my reality. So
nice.
That's literally, that's why I wanted to pursue it, because it was just being at home, I was never happy.
Yeah.
So being able to go to school and being able to avoid being home for those extra 2-3 hours
gave you pleasure.
was my way of just like dealing with it. So I've done that for a few years, and then, you know, now it's been able to develop, and, you know, I'm happy to say I haven't lost that spark, and I'm still trying to progress and continue with my training with one way or another.
And you obviously got a lot of built-in discipline there as a result of that experience, right?
Yeah.
You know, whether it was by design or as a matter of the situation, but and you've carried that through to a very positive situation.
Yeah. So it's definitely like, you know, what's happened has shaped me to be the person that I am, and it's led me to be here. So you know, finished school, wasn't sure what I was doing. You know, grandma always told me, you got to study. Like she'd, you know, always the biggest thing for her was having a uni degree. Like she didn't care what I'd done, you got to have a uni degree. You got to have it. Like if you're going to be doing the tradesman, you got to make sure you're qualified. Like she always would like drill that into me. So then it was like, all right, I started to, with the gym, that was my passion, health and fitness. So then I done a bit of study, and then, you know, one thing led to the other. We both signed up to the diploma, then we done our bachelor, and then we finished that bachelor, and basically that bachelor didn't get us anything. So we're like, fuck, we've already done 4.5 years of study. I don't want to do another 2. So we're like, fuck it, let's just try PT. And, you know, we slowly started to get into it, registered a name, and went off from there. I had no knowledge with business, literally had to learn how to register ABN, like just, you know, go from there and take baby steps. And here we are 3 years later.
So if you reflect back on that, was your grandma right? And this is a question to both of you, in terms of getting a degree or getting qualified. If you look at your business and where you are now, do you feel that it's helped you get to where you are, or no?
Are you referring to our degrees? If
Yeah.
Helped us?
Yeah. Do you think, you know, if you look at it back, you know, you're 4 years from your degree or whatever. If you look at where your business is and, you know, where you are, do you think that was a wise thing in hindsight? It's all very well in hindsight, of course. But...
The degree actually, that definitely helped us out. Like, don't get me wrong, but like, to be honest, I learned a lot of stuff. Most of what we're doing at the moment, I've learned it like through experience. A lot of the stuff that I've learned is through experience and just my passion for fitness. Like, I'll go out of my way to study and learn things based on what we're trying to do right now. So our degree, it was very broad, I would say, very, very broad. You could go down so many different avenues for it. Most people generally use it as like a foundation course before they go into their masters for things. So, you know, we're looking at becoming, maybe pushing into the exercise phys or sport or a physio. But, you know, we didn't want to study no more. We wanted to start our own gig. But definitely, like, I think just due to us both being so passionate about what we do and how we want to help people, like, has made us do our own, like, internal, like, personal study by ourselves and focusing on, you know, building up that experience throughout the gym.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, so I feel like it definitely set the foundations a little bit, our degree. But for where we are now, a lot of it was purely based from experience, I feel.
And applying that.
Yeah, and applying it, yeah.
Would you got a similar view or different?
Yeah, I think in terms of like our knowledge as a PT, like I agree with Clayton, but I think what I can say for me personally is that time throughout my study, although it hasn't, you know, made me the coach that I am today, there's a lot of things that have made me into who I am today.
Yeah.
So things like discipline. So, you know, being able to, you know, go throughout that whole period. Like a big thing was like while my mates were starting to work, you know, I was, you know, trying to work part-time. So you're not really getting much money. So just trying to be able to adapt and overcome, you know, a few different situations. And I guess stay true to the commitment, like, you know, not dropping out. Yeah, like more on that side of things, like you've definitely made a massive difference. Even with like having the approach that we do now, the exercise science approach. So although it didn't provide me with crazy amounts of knowledge to go into the PT, it definitely provided me with a stronger mindset of, you know, how to avoid, you know, all the fad diets or fad things out there. It provided me a stronger foundation on how to work upon. So I think if I went straight into like a PT course, I most likely would just be doing essentially what every other PT is doing, and probably would have even given up. Like,
so just on that, like, you know, I mean, for me, you've alluded to something there, and that's your point of difference, right?
Yeah.
So to tell us, what is that versus every other PT, so to speak? I mean, I'm interested, I understand that.
So I guess our point of difference is innovative strength and performance. So we're always finding new ways, new methods. We're still learning a lot. Like we always take that approach, that always learning mentality. So, you know, the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing, is something I always like to think about, you know. So we're always trying to find new methods, how to make a stronger training, what things to learn, how to pick up. And having that exercise science degree is definitely like a big point of difference, because we're able to not fall in the trap of doing the same thing that everyone else is doing, like, you know, quick 6-week challenges or quickly drop weight. You know, teaching people and providing that education that people don't get.
So you mentioned fads before.
Yeah.
So does it come down to the crux of fads versus fact? And my sense is you're saying, well, look, our method is based on fact, or you know, science, so to speak, technique.
Yeah.
Rather than necessarily just the fads.
Just jumping on something because everyone's doing it. So we always try to, like, you know, we're still learning. We're still trying to find, like, you know, innovative methods to implement into our training. But the biggest point of difference that we have is, as opposed to just example telling a client do this, do that, we actually explain it and tell them why they need to do that.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I mean, you know, I mentioned silver bullet before, and we're all a bit like that, right? So, you know, as business owners, you know, might be a bit overweight or, you know, a bit out of fitness and puffing up the stairs to go to the office, and, you know, eating badly and at wrong hours, and, you know, burning the midnight oil. And, you know, if I could get a 6-week course in health and fitness to fix it, it would be great, right? Because, you know, then I can get on with it.
Yeah.
You know, but I think you're suggesting that it's not like that, are you?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's not that you can't do it in 6 weeks, but it's just about having that approach. Like, you might be able to get a quick result in 6 weeks, but it's like, what's happening after that 6 week, if we're just going off that 6 week example. So if all you're focused is, get me from A to B in 6 weeks, and you get it, great, if that's all you want, but what's going to happen to you 12 weeks? What's going to happen a year from now? You're most likely just going to go back to whatever you were doing.
We kind of just trying to sum up what Cristian was saying, I think we try to design our concept to be more of a lifestyle approach.
Right.
We do, just so it prevents that from happening. So for a lot of clients, we try not to tell them it's because we have an ongoing platform so they can keep progressing and trialing new things and learning new skills, going off that side of things without being a 6 week for this to happen. We've always got new ideas, fresh ideas coming for our clientele, always trying to develop them, but also keep it entertaining for them as well. As much as we push the exercise science development, we also want to make sure that people are enjoying the training, having fun while they're doing it, and learning new things and things like that. So we definitely don't, recommend those quick fads.
No.
We've both, I think, done little quick fixes before in the past, just to give it a go. I think Cristian's done a 6 to 8 week little challenge for himself. And I've done a bodybuilding comp before, and I, in that time of my life, I was very focused and driven to be that physique and that level. And I look at it now, I'm fuck, I would never do that. To me, it's just not sustainable. It's not and for some people it is. I'm not trying to denote anyone that does do it as a lifestyle or does the thing, but for the majority of the population, that's just a whole different ball game, and that's a different path that we don't want to go down, and we just want to focus on the general well-being of our clientele and making sure they're utilising being physically active and maintaining a healthy balance lifestyle. We don't want to be quick fixes here and there every 6 weeks kind of scenario.
Very interesting. I want to come back to the bodybuilding piece in a minute.
No, you don't.
But no, I do definitely. I definitely do. But I'm glad you mentioned it. But to your point, guys, I was meeting with a business owner this morning, and we were talking about business and how it's a real journey, And I was saying, look, the benefit, and this fellow was, about half my age, and I had to say to him, look, the benefit of being a bit older is that you see what happens around discipline and consistency in business. And sometimes when you're younger, it's hard, right? Because I can put myself back in that situation. You get very impatient. You want it to happen now, so you can move on to something else. But it is like the proverbial snowball. If you keep chipping away at it, that snowball gets bigger and bigger, and then rather than having to push it, it starts rolling for itself. But only if it's integrated into what you do. And my sense is, I've seen that in business regularly, and the guys that really survive in business and do well, they're not quick in, quick out. Usually, they're in one shape or form. They've been in the game, and they've kept their focus, and they've kept rolling that ball until it rolls itself. And I think the same. I think you're hinting at the same deal in terms of your lifestyle approach to health and fitness for people. It's got to be integrated into what the everyday person is all about, right? So, anyways, that's the world according to me. Sorry, but just my reflection on what you've said. But bodybuilding. Now, look, this is an interesting topic, right? Isn't it?
It is an interesting topic.
So, body image is a big issue today, right?
Yeah,
so we've got people that want to look good. You said yourself you wanted your rig to look good early on in your career, right?
Yeah.
So you can match it up with your brothers and get plenty of offers down the street or whatever. I don't know, but.
I don't know if we've got plenty of offers.
No, but body image is a big issue, right?
It is a big issue, yeah.
And is it negative or positive, right? I'm interested to know your thoughts as practitioners in health and fitness, right? Because you traverse this space pretty regularly. And, you know, I can't help remember various events where, you know, a number of people in teams have got their kit off and they're showing their skin to the world, right?
Yeah.
So is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
I think it's depending on the person, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It depends how that person looks at themselves. Now, like, and I'm gonna use myself. So I got to that state, and to everyone around me, they're like, Clay, you look immaculate. Like the hard work, the effort, the grind, everything that you put into this physique. And I looked at myself in the mirror after that, and I'm like, I feel like shit.
Yeah,
I hate
right.
myself.
Yeah.
I don't look that good. I don't look that big. My arms aren't as big as I thought they would look. And to me, I'm like, Clay, you've just put in 16 to 20 weeks of straight grind, and you can say that to yourself right now. And I'm like, what do you want to be as, like, when you get into this industry, what do you want to be known for? I'm like, like, this is not the approach that you want to deliver. Now, a lot of people take that approach, and by all means, it works for them, and they see a benefit in that.
Yeah.
But like, to me, I think it just comes down to like people in general and how they perceive themselves. I'm like, you know, some people, you know, don't look at body image as success. They look at, like, you know, kilometers, like reaching new, like, PRs in weights, reaching new feet with their running. I know we picked up our running a lot and things like that. So as much as we use body image as a way of just seeing progress, we try not to utilize that as a forefront as much anymore. It's more of a, you know, how you feel, your functionality, you know, your strength, your performance. So I went off your question a little bit, but
No.
I guess, like, it is down to the person at the end of the day and how they perceive themselves. Because I've seen it go positive, where people like, I've enjoyed my physique and how I got to, and I've seen people get to the physique and be unsatisfied. So, and I feel like it's how the person looks at them and their self-esteem, how confident they feel in their body, and from there on in. So that's how I look at it. It's all personal.
Yeah, so one-on-one. It's about the person and how they look in the mirror and what they think, what they feel.
Yep.
Would you agree, Cristian?
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yeah. So how you feel, like how you feel that's a pretty deep topic, isn't it? Really, when you think about it.
Well, yeah.
Like, so what is that? Like, do you guys, is your business helping people figure out how they feel?
Not really help figure it out, but it's just, if we keep it business related. So we have a client coming in who's, you know, business owner or, you know, busy professional, working in the corporate world. Generally speaking, working a lot of hours. You know, they're too busy to do anything. They're always tired, not very sharp. Our approach is to help them get them into the gym. So not so much, it doesn't necessarily have to be about lifting crazy weights or doing something insane. It's just about getting yourself moving to help improve your overall health. So reduce your stress. So busy professionals, they're gonna, you know, they've got a lot going on. There's always something happening. So coming into the gym helps reduce their anxiety, helps reduce their stress, helps them be in a better mood. So when they are going to work, they're showing up with a better, you know, attitude towards their workers, or towards showing up with a different mindset, their confidence. So if they want to take on a new role or they have a new project that they're working on, they're able to show up and present, you know, a better version of themselves. So it's about feeling a certain way that it starts with us when we work with them in the gym, but it translates into so much more than just showing up to the gym to look or feel a certain way. It's about what you do in that gym and then how you incorporate it to, you know, when you're at home with your kids and stuff, you know, you're able to play around and kick the ball with them. When you're with your partner, you're able to be present with them. Or you always just got work in the back of your mind because that's, you know, essentially drowning you. So it's about helping them connect different people. So, you know, instead of like just sitting down on the TV the whole weekend, you know, maybe they meet someone else, go for a walk, a bit more of an active, you know, lifestyle. So it's just connecting all the little dots. So, you know, you feel and you move a certain way.
Yeah. A much more effective person, right?
Yeah, much more effective lifestyle, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, is that, I mean, I think you articulate it much better than this. I'm trying to put it into one word, right? But it's not one word because it's more there's mental and physical aspects to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like a holistic, sorry to cut you off, it's like a holistic approach.
Yeah.
We try to look at it all. So, yeah, I think Christian hit on the head. So, yeah, it is changed how people feel, but it's just more than just how people feel. We don't want them to just say, I want to feel like this. Like, no, we want to make it so it's just part of it's ingrained in you now. It's your lifestyle. Like, you know, just because you don't go there, you go there for a quick fix to see how you feel, but like I want you to just go in there to just train and just get it done regardless of how you feel sometimes. Because sometimes you're not going to feel like 100% of training. Sometimes you're not going to be doing everything that you want in a day. And it doesn't mean you just drop everything because I didn't feel this way because I didn't do a session correctly. No, it's not going to happen. That's life, you know. We're human. We're going to have ups and down days all the time. But we're just trying to teach people just try and maintain this healthy lifestyle regardless and try and keep pushing through and just keep working on things, you know, because things do go down and up in life, but, you know, it's just part of it. It's part of the game.
Yeah, guys, I mean, the more I reflect on your business, you're much more than just getting someone to do 10 burpees, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, you know, just what you've talked to us about there, it's it's the very essence of who we are and what we are and how effective we are and how we play our game as individuals, but also as business people, right? Like it's you know, I can't help but think of the word confidence as being part of that, although it doesn't summarise either of what you've said. But if I reflect on effective business owners, whether they're you know, and this is a characterisation, I don't know whether it's correct, whether they're extroverts or introverts. The experience I've had with effective business owners is they've got an inherent confidence about the way they go about things. Either in terms of the decisions they make for themselves or the reliance on others to assist them in their activities. And sometimes it's having the confidence to know that they don't know what they don't know, and so they need to talk to someone that does, you know? And that sounds perverse, right? Because you think, oh, confidence means, you know, I just make all the decisions the way I run. But it's not that necessarily. It's knowing your inner strengths, knowing your inner weaknesses, and being able to work on both.
Well, if we put that onto you, let's say since you've started or how you know, we got a pretty high performer in the business here, so yourself.
Yeah.
So what's something that since you started training, how has that changed you? Or, you know, within your business, what do you feel differently? Or is there days where you don't train? How's that different to the days where you do train? What kind of what's the difference between the two?
Oh, look, I think it's tricky, right? But I think it's given me a balance, right? Where I'm a lot more, you know, we talk about people being in their business and on their business, right? And we encourage people to, get in their business and as business owners and leaders and run it, but also get on the business and have a good look over it, right? Well, if I try to answer your question as an individual, but also as a business leader and owner, I'm in me, obviously, by definition, but I'm also on me, right, as an individual. And I'm a lot more on me now than I ever used to be because it allows you the sense of reflection and just perspective on life. And it builds confidence, right? And with confidence, you know, comes a whole different outlook on things, right? Instead of looking down at your toes with a hunched back, you know, you're standing up tall and you're breathing and you're taking in the world, right? And that difference, whether you're an individual or whether you're in business, is huge. Money can't buy that difference, you know? It can't.
Well, we've seen that difference in you, you know.
Have you?
That's why I mentioned that. It's just, you know, when you first started to how you are now, how you present yourself like in the gym, you know, the way you go about your business from an external side of things. Like, I can definitely see that there's been a massive bit of confidence within you lately, and it's one of the joys that we get as a coach is being able to deliver that to people that are in the business world. So being able to get them to their peak performance. So like we said, the confidence, and hat off to you for staying true to the program, the commitment, and it's been good to see your journey.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that feedback. And as a business owner, talking to all other business owners, unless you're taking your health and fitness very seriously, and unless it's integrated into your life and the way you go about your business, you're not, in my view, operating at peak performance.
I couldn't agree more.
And I think, and I've experienced it, right? And it's, as I say, I can't value it because it's intangible. That doesn't mean you can put up your rates, by the way, but no, but it's very interesting.
Checking those at the end.
Yeah, it's very interesting in terms of thinking about what you guys are doing and the market that you're in, because if you can unlock that for people, it is invaluable, right? And it's, as I say, there's no silver bullets to it. It has to have a reciprocal sort of position in terms of the individual that's being coached, but it's critically important.
And I've always looked at like fitness in general. It's always been a pillar of mine personally. So when I'm not training, everything's havoc. When I am training, I have a structured routine. I'm ticking off goals. I'm ticking off tasks, and I'm actually doing things correctly and getting things done properly. When I don't have that pillar to go from, I'm generally feel like I'm lost. I don't know what I'm doing. And I guess like going off by you, like I'm at my peak performance when I'm at peak training and doing everything I've set myself for my training, my eating, my sleeping, my drink, like all those type of habits, those small little habits. And they've made me a lot more sharper, more focused, more driven person based on taking that healthier approach. And I know how effective it is. And if I know how effective it is, I'm going to give it to everyone. I'm going to share it to everyone. I want to make sure everyone knows how effective this approach can be for everyone. Now, we only get started for the strength and performance size, but you add another thing on, you add this on, you add that on, and then it all comes together at once at the end of it. And you become your own product. So as yourself, you become your own product, and you become the product that we've obviously tried to deliver it from the get-go. And it's like what Cristian said, we've seen massive changes in you. Like, I love like even your hunching, your stuff like that. That's from the get-go, mate. You can do a lunge now, which is cool. And these are just the things, and like I know that's the more physical side of things and stuff like that. But like everything, like when it comes to like other things that you approach at life, you just get it done, and you want more structured approach to it all.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that other than the physical things, and the physical things are important, right? The mobility, being able to get off the couch without putting your hands on the couch and struggling up, right? Basic stuff, right? Really, but that all goes to a longer life, But I think, other than the physical, it's the decision-making clarity, I feel, that to pick up your point about, when you're training at peak performance, you're disciplined and you're delivering stuff at peak performance. I feel it's added a lot of clarity to my decisions, and if anything, it's in a perverse way, it's slowed my world down because, in our business and most businesses, you have a bunch of priorities, more than you can ever deal with. But if you're in peak health and fitness performance, I think it gets your mind very focused. And so when you apply your mind to something, you can be very efficient and you can pick and choose. And I think as a business owner, often juggling those things and working out what really matters versus what might be interesting to work on if you had time is the difference between a really elitely successful business and one that's okay, So yeah, it's pretty neat, eh?
Yeah, it is.
Isn't it? So I said I'd come back to this. So now might be an interesting time to talk about it. You guys are coaches, right? Coaches. So what does a coach do? I'm interested to know what a coach does in your business. How would you describe you as a coach?
As in like what we do in our role.
Yeah.
Well, obviously the label that we have essentially is like personal training. But for us, our approach, it goes far beyond what we do just within the gym. It's everything we've essentially spoken about. For us, being able to provide the service that we like, it's, obviously building their foundations in the gym, but that's kind of like where it starts, and then that's only the beginning of it all, getting them comfortable and confident in the gym to then translate over into everything that we have just spoken about, how to become more confident, whether you're a business owner, a mum, or whatever it is that you do. How can you become a better version of yourself, and how can you, unleash your true potential?
So, personal attribute of a coach. What does a coach need to be? What sort of a person do they need to be? I'm interested to know, right? Because, I could have a go at characterising what they're like, but I'm interested to know what you think is what makes a difference between a successful coach and a not so successful coach? Because my listeners on this podcast will be sick of me talking about Parramatta, but like I see different coaches, right? I see the Penrith coach, I see the Parramatta coach, I see the Dolphins coach, and I see the Melbourne coach, right? And they've all got different records. My Parramatta team's still to come, but it's getting there, right? But what makes a successful coach versus a less successful coach, do you think?
I would say coach, someone who practices what he preaches. So he does that consistently. He's got experience in what he's done, and he's taught people. What makes us feel like I'm a coach and Cristian a coach is like, we don't just, because there's a difference between like, we're obviously personal trainers, but I don't want to phrase myself as a personal trainer. I feel like I'm way more than a personal trainer. I feel like honestly I'm underselling myself if I do that.
What's the difference then?
I feel like it is, personal trainer to me is someone who just trains someone, pushes them in the gym, done and dusted, thank you, come again. A coach to me is someone who goes through teaches them the mechanisms behind training, why you do training. It's not just pushing him; it's actually educating in them how to live a better lifestyle, and have that healthier approach to life. So that's what I think a coach is: someone who doesn't just tap into just pushing him through a session, but also does all the other stuff behind it and focusing on other aspects of health in itself. When it comes to our personal training as a coach, I won't just sit the person and say, let's do a squat. I'm going to explain the mechanisms behind why we do a squat. What are the benefits behind a squat? Yeah. How you increase your squat. I'll name off 10 more things why I want you to do a squat. To the client goes to me, okay, I get why I got to do a squat now. I'm like, thank you. Now you know where you're doing a squat.
Yeah, you got to do
and
it.
This is the point. What I want to make a phrase this is what to me a good coach is. He teaches the fundamentals. He educates the person, but then they can do it by themselves. They're confident enough to do it by themselves. Right. A lot of PTs, they'll train. I'm not going to say a lot of PTs. From PTs, I've seen people just push them. They go out. And then they'll still have no idea their client what they're doing. They'll come out and I didn't even know what I just done then. I'm like, well, to me, are you getting value? Are you actually benefiting from what you've gone to people for? What is your goals? What are you going out here for? And that's how I see as a coach for me and Cristian. And I think we're perfect for having that role in that position because we both practice what we preach. We both have the experience in the field. We're both very passionate about what we do. And yeah, we love our community and we will do anything we can to help you guys out and become the best version of yourselves. That's how we do it.
Yeah, okay. So that's the world of a coach versus a PT.
That's how I see it anyway, yeah.
So the way I characterise that is a PT is transactional, right? Based on the session. In, out, done, dusted. Where the coach is more focused on the overall relationship and the lifestyle that's around and aspects that's around what you're doing so that it achieves a sort of more sustainable improvement.
Yeah, sustainable method, yeah. And we want to make sure, this is literally part of our concept, we want to make sure that you progress through your training. you change your lifestyle, you start making better choices, decision making, what you've just previously mentioned. And we want to start all those things start coming into place from the beginning, like starting to build up and stuff. And if we can do that, to me, we've done a good job as a coach. Yeah.
So how important is leadership in a coach, right? Because you're talking about practice what you preach, right? So how does that aspect add value to the client, do you think?
Well, I to me, if you don't practice what you preach and teach people like what you do, how are you going to help someone else become that person or envision that person that they're trying to become if you haven't done it before or you're living it right now? Like, we're very, very hard on ourselves for that reasoning. Like, I think Cristian would pull up on me if I was like, bro, you're saying we're doing all this, but you're not preaching any of it. And I'd probably do the same thing to him. Yeah. If we're going to start saying these things and putting them out there, I want to make sure both of us are doing it, especially because the people need to look up to someone. They need a leader to follow the leader. So you need to have someone to follow. If you don't have that, then to me, I feel like it's
Where are you
really,
going?
yeah, what are you
So
doing?
yeah.
Yeah, you're kind of lying to them kind of in a way. But that's just my way of like understanding it a bit.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, you agree?
Yeah, agree. I think another thing, a good coach within our industry, that's kind of like what we're talking about, would be someone that's a bit adaptable as well, because everyone's different. So it's got to do with a lot of personality. So no matter what you do, you're always going to be able to relate more to some than you will with others. So it also does come down to like how you can approach different people. So the way you say things to one person, a good coach knows that that's not going to work for everyone. So you can't be, talking or cueing in our scenario the same way for everyone, because not everyone listens or learns the same. So what a good effective coach and a leader will have like the tools and knowledge to deal essentially with different type of people, because the way one person might pick it up will be completely different to another one. And I guess it comes back to, that knowledge. So having that knowledge and that experience to be able to deal with different people, because, you might be saying the same thing to one person, you say it to the other person, but they're both going to have different things. So you have to make sure and understand and figure out, all right, talk to someone, did they pick it up? If they didn't pick it up, all right, try something else. So a good coach, good leader will be able to have, those tools and that knowledge. Yeah, not a one size fits all. It's just like everyone's different. And even with everyone's personality, like me as a coach, not everyone's going to like me, or, I will try to do my best to communicate and develop their skills to the best of my ability. But to a degree, everyone relates somewhat more to some people than others, and everything's fine with that.
I understand that, but do you have to be liked as a coach, do you think?
I think you do. It's important to build a relationship with your clients. To be liked, I think they got to have trust in you. If your client doesn't trust you, there's not going to be much. I guess speaking for us or in general in business, if you're working for someone and you don't like your boss, you're not going to be performing at your best. You might be performing because you want to make your wage or whatever, but you're not really giving it your all because you're not fully invested. So if someone's working for their boss, they don't like the boss, they hate their boss, they might still be doing the job itself, but they're probably not performing at their peak because they're just trying to get by just to make sure they can keep going. But if they like you, if they're invested in you, if you're a good leader and you've been able to invest them in what it is that you do, you're going to be able to provide something at a much higher standard. So I think you do got to make sure that, if you're working with clients, they do like you.
Interesting. And just circling back, you were talking about being different depending on how it's received by the client. Is that frustrating as a coach? Well, you try a method on one client and they lap it up and they deliver, right? And they're improving. And then you have this difficult client. And no matter what you do, they're really slow at taking it up, right? Is that frustrating? Is that, how do you deal with that as a coach?
It's very frustrating. I think that could happen to anyone. Someone that picks up something straight away to someone you got to sit down and work with them and go through the micro steps to improvement. But I guess that's part of being a coach. You'll learn to be patient. Things take time. Things take time to develop. You know, like something will flick and eventually, and you'd hope it does. And as a coach, getting feedback and trying to find other ways to help that person to get to the level that they need to get to, or to get to that place. So I definitely feel like, it can be very, very frustrating at times, but doesn't mean you give up. It just means that you got to find another path for this person.
Comes back to whether you're a good coach or not. So, if you say you're a good coach, you might, there's lots of times you're frustrated. There's lots of time you show up to job and, you're not having your best days. We're trainers, you've got to be providing that energy and stuff. But man, there's days where I go into work and fuck, I'm exhausted. But you got to be able to put on that face. But then it's like, when we're doing this job, it's like at the start, it might feel a bit tired, but once you get kind of started, it's just like, you roll with it. You roll with it, you keep going, and it's just being able to show up to present and be invested in their outcome. So how invested and how much are you willing to push of yourself to get them their result? And that, I guess, is the difference between, if we're relating back to that coach thing, are you a good or bad coach? You know, a bad coach will just, give up or just be like, I can't do this, whatever. Whereas a good coach will find a way to make it work. They will keep, expanding their knowledge to make sure they can do that, or they'll reach out to people or whatever, just to make sure their client gets the best result.
Guys, the last 5 or 10 minutes talking about coaches, I think that's gold, really. You've put it in the perspective of your business and how you go about it from a health and fitness and personal training perspective, which is awesome. But, I think, viewers and listeners of this podcast, need to, particularly the senior people in business and the business owners, need to reflect on what you've taken us through there, because all those attributes are, in my view, absolutely critical for leaders and business owners in businesses, with teams trying to make those teams as effective as possible. Things like, not just being transactional, but thinking about the whole picture. Things like, walking the talk, being a leader, showing how it's done, being able to do what you're asking someone to do. Things like the differentiation, figuring out how one person might respond versus another person. And the point about being liked, I think, because and that's sort of the trust issue which you raised, and also the investment on both sides, and unlocking that investment. We often talk about culture, and clearly unlocking that investment in this sense, I think, is an intangible. It's not actually a dollar investment, right? It's about motivation and engagement, isn't it? I guess you need to be liked, but there also needs to be the level of respect, because sometimes as a coach, you're probably asking people to do something that they may not like to do necessarily, or they may not have the confidence to do, right? So, how do you get them to just jump over the cliff that they haven't jumped over before?
I think when Christian means to be honest, if you're gonna like someone, probably a level of trust that comes with that. Now, that level of trust, they might not like some of the exercises or something, but they trust in the trainer. They trust in the coach that the reason that they're doing this right now is for a better outcome, and that's what they want. They got to learn. You got to like someone. No one's going to pay for someone who don't like someone. I'm not gonna if I get a bad burger, I'm not going to go back and get that same burger, all right? Unless it's cheaper, then might as well.
Unless it's half price.
If it's half price, why not? It's cheaper. Yeah, but that's what I mean. You got to like someone at the start. You got to build that rapport, and that's a big part of being a good coach as well. Being diverse. Not everyone's going to be bubbly and out there like myself, and not everyone's going to be like Christian, a bit more cool, calm, and collected. And we both know that's our personalities. But you know, as long as they have that trust, they got to build that trust with us at the start, because they're not going to like everything that we give them. A lot of our clients don't like what I give them, in some sense. And it's because I'm trying to challenge them. I'm trying to push them just a little bit, just enough for them to want to just get a taste and try and move forward. Because I don't want them to stay stagnated either. I always want them to improve down the road. So, yeah, people might, but you got to be liked, but doesn't mean you got to like always the whole process sometimes. Sometimes it is what it is, and that's just part of it. I don't like getting up all the time every morning, like going, rocking up, ready to go to work, but it's part of my job, you know, and I'll still do it. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that burger analogy, like that's an awesome lesson, right, in business economics, right? Because, you know, it's trust versus value. And there's more value in trust than there is in a half-price burger, right? Yeah. You know, in other words, if you haven't got the trust, look, I'll buy the burger, but I'm only paying you half price. Yeah. There's a big difference there, eh? You know, that's amazing. Guys, that coaching stuff, well, thank you for sharing that, because, you know, I think as business owners and leaders in business and senior people in business, all sorts of industries, absolutely critical. And I'm not hard on business coaches and their role, but often business coaches are employed because the leaders in a business don't have the capability, right, to be good coaches. Now, that's not a bad thing. They've recognised it, right, and outsourced some of that. But to be a very successful business, an elite business, you've got to take that capability in-house, and you've got to develop it in your teams, and that's what your business is about, right?
Yeah. I think it's important too to, you know, as a business owner, just even with us starting off, just a short period of time we've been running, is, you know, definitely got to learn to put your ego aside. So ego can be a massive thing. So for me personally, I've realised that some areas of business, it's not my thing. It's not like I'm not that strong at it. So it's just, you know, as a business owner, like business partner, being able to trust in my business partner to take on those roles, and me being able to develop and grow more in the areas that I am a bit stronger. But, you know, at the start, it's like you want to try to do everything, you want to take on every role, but it's just purely your ego getting in the way, and, you know, this person can't do it, like I can do it. You try to kind of do everything, but the minute you learn to put your ego aside and trust in your team or other people, I think that's the biggest game changer like you can have as a business owner.
That's a great point to extend the discussion a little bit, because I wanted to talk about you two as partners. But I will, given you asked that question of me earlier on, I will say that I've always had difficulty in, you know, in trusting others to do stuff, right? And I've learnt over the years to give trust, but it's taken, you know, a lot of time and effort. But one of my benefits, or one of my improvements as a result of my health and fitness journey, is you know, a lot calmer, cooler view about that, right? Being able to sort of just release and let a mistake happen, because mistakes are good, you know. And if the person that you've entrusted to do it, you know, comes to you and says, look, I just want to tell you before you're here, I made a mistake doing blah, 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 you know that everything's right, because they're happy to talk about it, and they've got your back, and they know that you've got their back as well. So I think it's a very powerful aspect of a good team.
Yeah, I agree.
Partners. Two partners right from the start.
Yep.
Was it destined to be? How did it happen? Like, how did you, were you around a, you know, coffee table one day and you said, listen, why don't we go into business? Or was it just that you were doing the same thing and you were mates, and, you know, like, how did it develop? Why did you go in together?
I'm trying to remember, to be honest. I think we were planning on starting something towards the end of uni. This is just trying to get memory now back for it. But I actually don't know how the PT business came about, like actually starting it together. I remember trying to develop the name, which I thought was hilarious at the time. And I look at it and I'm like, it's actually done quite well. I'm really proud of our name. It's landed and it's made its mark in the Penrith community. So I'm really thankful that we committed to that name.
Yeah.
To be honest, if you remember, bro, like,
No, I think it was
floor's
just
yours.
like finishing up like our degree. Like it was just came down to finishing that degree and not really having anywhere to go unless we kind of done more study. So we're like, you know, we've done 4.5 years. I probably come back to money. We're both struggling with money. We're like, you know, don't want to keep doing this. Just didn't see. I think we wanted to work, from my memory. I think we wanted to work it for a year and then go back to study. But, you know, decided to register the business and then one thing led to another. And I don't think I would ever go back to uni now, to be honest.
So then you fast forward to today.
Yeah.
And you're both, you know, directors of the one company,
Yep.
partners. Sounds like you alluded to the fact that, you know, you focus on different issues in the business and Clayton focuses on different issues, but you obviously both contribute overall.
Yeah.
What's the value of being in partnership versus being on your own, do you think?
I think having two brains working at one thing comes with its ups and downs, but I think there's a lot more value in it. I guess once you start to learn to manage it and trust in one another, because at the start, you know, both young lads, we both got strong egos, so, you know, there's a lot of clashes that we've had. You know, this is my way, your way.
He's got a few dents on the side of his face.
Yeah.
Or was that from one of his 5 other brothers?
Oh, it could have been from one of the brothers.
More than a sneaky elbow to me, you never know.
Sneaky left, right. But
Is it better in partnership than on your own, do you think?
Yeah, I think I work stronger as a team. I don't think I would be as strong being by myself. I build off people. Like, I like bouncing off people and sharing ideas. That's just how I am as a person. Like, I've always been more confident bouncing off people in that kind of sense. And like I've you know, PTs have gone up by themselves. I do see them struggle a little bit with a lot of you know, a lot of stuff behind the for like doing training. So like, we know how much work there is involved in running a business, and people who start their own personal training business and they're just like, how do you do all this? And I'm like, well, I don't, Cristian does it. Cristian does that side. And they like, maybe some guys go do like, oh, Clayton does it. I'm like, well, they got to do all of it. And like, this is the good thing about it. So like, I don't have to worry because I know I got trust in Cristian to back it up and do it. And I realize I can focus and be more stronger at one area and build that up as best as my ability, same as Cristian. So that's where I feel like there's a massive benefit in that. And, you know, we do have our moments where we like, I think this is better and that's better, but that's good, I feel. If you just went with an idea and just went with it all the time, and you get no feedback, you get feedback of other people, like, it's good to have someone, you know, not always just say yes to things.
So you know that
like, have it.
each other will test.
Yeah, test each other.
Yeah.
You got to test each other, and you got to push the limits a little bit. You can't always just be like happy family all the time, because that's not reality.
Yeah.
And if it was, it's like, how much effort are you putting into the business? How much do you care then? If you're actually just saying yes to everything, or not really putting much into it, like, to me, I'm like, is it really worth it? So I do enjoy that with that Cristian as well, because we both have different sides and elements that we want to see the business do, and we got to find that middle. And that's something that I think we like doing. Like, I like doing anyway. So
That's good. That's good. I think it's interesting how episode 4, which aired earlier this week, Ben Gulo, who owns a food service business and has owned it for 18 years, and he started the business and he bought it, basically paid nothing. And at the time, he was a supreme risk manager. He was also very entrepreneurial, but he said to his wife, "Look, I'm not going to buy it on my own. We're going to go into a business with my 2 cousins," because he said, you know, if we want to take holidays, or if we want to share the load on various things, I want to have the ability to do with that with someone I trust, right?
yeah.
So back in the day, that was his way of doing it. Other business owners have been very successful as a sole player, You know, the bouncing ideas is an interesting one, Clayton, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you know, and I guess if you haven't got a business owner to do that, then you've got to figure out who in the world you can do it with and trust, and whether it's as effective.
I think we're just fortunate enough that we're both kind of in that mindset, you know, to be like that as well, and to be comfortable knowing that, you know, we're here for a greater purpose. You know, like TES is, you know, us, it is who we work for, and that's how we look at it. And we both want to give as much as we can into our business. So it's good that we're both passionate and really want to see our business succeed. And it just reflects on us. We want to succeed as in life itself. So, you know, if this is our route and this is what we're going to do, then we're going to give it the best crack we've got. We're going to give everything we've got. So
yeah, interesting. If you took yourself back to, I don't know, age 18 or something, would you ever imagined, either of you, that you'd be where you are today?
no way.
Yeah, definitely not.
No.
18.
So what would you have thought? Like, you know,
At the age of 18.
yeah. You wouldn't have even been thinking about it.
Yeah,
Man, I was
boys.
just partying.
The boys are lads.
I was just partying when I was 18,
Yeah.
Fresh 18, that's literally when I started, just the party phase.
Yeah, but you were never were you, you know, were you thinking at that time, I'd love to run a business or something? No.
Nah. All through uni, it was literally just never thought about it, never really even thought about the idea of it. Like, I never even thought that'd be possible for me, or never really explored that, to be honest. And then we just finished uni, and then he was like, should we just give this a crack? But it wasn't something that I ever thought about.
So you've iteratively sort of got into it
Yeah.
and found that you quite liked it.
Yeah.
Right?
Just went in it, no idea, literally no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
Didn't know what to expect, or like what was going to come with it. But it was just all about doing one thing and then start realizing the other, and then we're like, oh shit, we got to do this, do that. And then you're like, before you know it, we're 3 years deep into it, and we're like, fuck.
I think that's what makes us so like special as well, because like we never really planned any of this. Hey, it kind of happened in a way that like we've just like fallen into, like built into like in what we've done, and now we were like, okay, no, this is like, we've actually created this now. We've got to give this our all. Because when we first started this PT business, like we weren't really, we're taking it serious. We went to the point like we're just going with it. Like, there was no real structure. You just go, you know what I mean? And then we realized, I'm like, we're actually doing something really special here. And then it started to like, obviously start G'ing us up and getting us more visionary and like, okay, where can we build this business to? We need to start investing more into this business and making it to where we want it to be. So
Yeah.
I think that's like a main thing for us too. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy for us too. I remember we started in December. I'm pretty sure we launched like our Instagram page and registered the name or whatever.
Okay.
We were at Emu Hall with Maddie and Paulie.
Oh, really?
We're singing a few beers, having a laugh.
And then we just like, fuck it, let's just launch it. So we did. And just, started going ahead in the short period of time. I think it was 3 months. We decided to do like a little boot camp towards the end of the 8 weeks, like a sand dunes. Within 3 months, we built up pretty quickly. Like, I think we were doing a partnership at the time, or sole trader. So Clayton had like somewhere along 20 clients. I had 20 clients within 3 months.
Yeah.
And then, COVID come around. So within 3 months, like they're like, all right, gyms are shutting down. And we're like, all right, so what do we do now? So then we just always had that drive to just make it work. Like, even when COVID come around, like within a week we were doing sessions outdoors. Like, we've never really thought about stopping what it is that we're doing.
Yeah.
We've always just like copped the L
rolled on.
or done something, and then we're like, all right, what do we do? And then figured out a way and go from there. So
Yeah, guys, I mean, it is, you use the word special, right? Yeah. And you also know that I'm a bit of an emotional person sometimes. And, hearing you talk about yourselves from those humble beginnings, I mean, and they're still humble in my
yes, it's
view,
still very humble.
But it brings a tear to my eye, but to know what you gentlemen deliver to the Penrith and broader community in your business, because, and I'm, for our listeners and viewers, I'm trying to unlock the ingredients, and they're more than the Colonel's special spices, really, because you know there's an element of culture. Sorry, I'm getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel it, right? That we used the word feel before. You know, if you're part of your crew, and this is where, you know, I'm sorry to my listeners, but you know, I have, you know, I'm biased, right? But there's an element of your culture that is unbeatable, right? And one should take that for granted because it can come and go if it's not nurtured. But you know, I'd love you to help us understand how that happens, because it's I don't see it in all businesses. I do see it in elite businesses. We value businesses, and even though we focus on numbers, ultimately, in some businesses where there's an element of this sort of culture, it can have a huge impact on the value of a business. Because although AI is present and, you know, we're getting robots to do things in business, at the end of the day, the people power is still, you know, huge in terms of the uptick of performance when you unlock that in a certain way. And the culture aspect is amazing. So how do you do it? Like, how do you do this special bit that you've got now?
Generally, like, I generally enjoy it. That's probably the main thing. Like, you know, we have our days where we're not feeling the best, but if I had to look back, I was like, well, what else would I want to be doing? There wouldn't be much else, you know, like as a job and a career, because I think it kind of fits my personality and how I am as a person, just in general, like the craziness in our classes and with our community, the constant learning and applying and building as a person, and like all those little pieces that in between, like to me, that's just how I am as a person. And I feel like that's me represented out around me, like shown around me. And that's, to me, that's how I say it, like I live and breathe what I do, because I generally enjoy doing this. Like this is generally what I like doing. Like I know it's part of my job as well, but I really, really enjoy just doing this and helping people as much as I can. And if I can do it through health and fitness, then that's...
It all links up, right?
Yeah, it all links up. And I think it does come up from the head of the snake. Once, like, if you know, like, and it trickles down. Yeah. So people get hooked onto it and they just want to be a part of it and understand it and be involved in it. And we try to pin it down to a couple of words, but man, to be honest, I even struggle to put it together sometimes. Like, and I'm just being straight up with you. You know, me and Cristian tried so many times. They're like, okay, if we had to put ourselves in one sentence, what would we look like? And we're both looking at each other like, fuck, what? And I'm always like, well, that's just because we like, there's so many things we want to deliver and put into this thing for everyone. And this is like me just being straight up. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to answer that correctly, I feel. But that's how me, because I just generally love doing this it's who I am.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just, like we said, something that started definitely more on a personal level as opposed to business. So when we started off, no idea about business. To this day, we're very new to it all. We're still learning, like trying to figure out like what roles we're better at, where we can improve. Like we're still very new to this. And I guess the way that it started was just a personal thing, and it's just been very enjoyable from the get-go. And that's kind of enabled us to, you know, build a strong kind of foundation without realizing around the business. And I think the fact that we've really delivered on the personal level within the business, now we're slowly starting to get a little bit more of a business mindset. So it's just taking that and keeping it growing into the business, but there's nothing set in stone that we've been like, you know, this is what we've done. It's just something that has just naturally developed, and we're just fortunate enough to, you know, be here where we are today, thanks to all our community and everyone that supported us along the way.
Yeah, lovely. I mean, I summarise that inadequately, right?
Yeah.
But as do what you enjoy, don't take things too seriously, and be yourself. And I guess, you know, and you know, try and spread the love to the people around you. But, that's very inadequate, guys, but it's very special, right? And we're still trying to find out what the Colonel's spices are, and we're still trying to find out what the secret to the true exercise science brand and culture is. But I think, the fact that we're still trying to find out shows that, what you've built is something very valuable.
Yeah.
The affirmation that you got last year with that award in Penrith is just one element of showing that. But I think, you only have to look at a few socials to see that, people are watching and they appreciate what you provide.
Yeah.
You're here now. You've had nearly 4 years of experience in running a business. Are there things that a few key things that you've learnt that you would do differently if you had your time over again, do you think?
I don't know, to be honest. I feel like everything we've done has led us to where we are today. So
you've done it for a reason, yeah?
Yeah, it's all like, even if at the time I thought it was like, man, I wish we didn't do this. It's just somehow that we took that lesson and, now we can learn and grow from that. So
yeah,
I don't think I really have any regrets. Like, I think it's just always been able to shift whatever that lesson was and help build from that. So yeah, I guess there's nothing that comes to mind that I'm like, shit, why do we do that? You always have those moments, I guess, but it's like...
But no biggies, right?
I truly feel like we've never failed in anything that we've done. We've just learned. We've just learned from it.
Yeah.
Like, still learning.
We've everything that we try and do, and there's been plenty of times you can put it as fail, but we never look at it as fail. We just smile and laugh it off. Because what's the point of being in your feeling down about it and out of it? You just gotta, things just happen, and you just gotta learn to accept it. And like, I think we've just got really good at accepting that we're not always gonna be like, we're not always gonna win in what we do. Some things are just not gonna work, and we just gotta smile and let it go.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say, because based off your question, I've liked it being the spontaneous journey that we've done. It has been spontaneous, and it has been, I feel like at the start very spontaneous. Not so much now. It's a lot more structured, and we've got a lot more routine, and we know exactly what we're doing now. But like when it did start off, it was all part of the exciting journey. Like, what's going to happen around the corner? Yeah. What's going to happen opening up this door? And we've jumped in so many different doors, and we've tried so many different things. And we laugh about it now, but we truly have. Like, we've done so many fun different things. And I look at it back, and like all the people that I've met and got to know, and like, if I look back and I looked at it as a fail, I wouldn't have never met that person, never like developed and figured that person out. And I know there's connections with people. So I feel like everything that we've done has always been a learning period for us, and it still is.
Yeah, that's a special way of looking at life's journey, right? Because it's very glass half full, isn't it? Because what you're saying is all the way along I'm gathering capability and knowledge and information.
Yep.
And then figuring out how to use that to better myself and my business. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a very mature way of looking at things. I think, failure used to be a difficult thing, right, for people to accept. In some businesses, failure creates a whole lot of negative connotations around how it's dealt with, right? But I applaud you for how you're looking at it. Now let's turn to the next 3 years. What's going on, guys? Can you give me a feel for where this business is going to go in the next few years? Have you got some thoughts on that, or or is it all under wraps and not yet allowed to be talked about?
No, we definitely got a few things that we've been trying to work on, trying to build on. From the day we started, we always wanted to open up our own facility. So that's always been like the goal. So whether that's 6 months, 3 years, that's definitely something that we both want to work towards and want to get to that.
Yeah.
But just keep learning, keep growing, keep providing everything that we're providing to our community, and making a bigger impact to more individuals within the Penrith community. So keep learning along the way, keep taking the lessons, and just enjoying the journey, to be honest.
Yeah.
Obviously still stay on track to what it is that we want to do. But I guess instead of trying to force and rush things to happen, when things are meant to happen, they'll happen. And yeah, sometimes things happen in a funny way. So you just gotta, just be able to roll with it, still stay focused on what it is that you're doing. And yeah, still help people, become the best version of themselves.
Yeah.
I think Christian pretty summed that up.
Cover it up?
Yeah, he summed that up. I can't really add to that. Like, he just said everything, just have fun in the process. 3 years from now, I wanted the same thing that he wants. We both want as a team. And yeah, just keep helping out people and doing what we're doing now.
When I first met you, Clayton, I asked you, I said, who's your business target? What sort of client is your business target? From my perspective, I was thinking, the person will have, XYZ sector or, particular age sector or whatever. And you just said, general pop, James, general pop, right? Yeah. And I've often reflected on that, right? So people in Penrith and surrounds Western Sydney, if they're listening to this, have you got services for them, whoever they are, or is there a particular segment of that audience that you're particularly able to assist more aptly?
So I think the reason I say general pop is because our concept works for all of our population, all the general pop. So if you are obviously injured or stuff like that, obviously go see specialists and stuff. But in general sense, most of our target market is just the general pop. We do have specific avatars that we try to go for, but sometimes we get majority of the time it's a mixed bag. We get a couple of young fellas, a couple of old fellas,
Yeah, and I would say it will be more busy professionals. To sum it up, whatever your age is, the main demographic is busy professionals who essentially wanting to get more out of their day. So if you had to quickly tie it down, there's no specific age, it's just professionals that are seeking to get essentially more out of the day, whether it's with work, their health or family. Basically that's the people that we best serve to. So.
And should they have gone to the gym before? Should they be exercising already? Or not necessarily?
Doesn't matter if you're not exercising. We've got the tools to help you get there. Or if someone's a bit more advanced like yourself, we can definitely provide you with a bit more challenging methods and stuff like that. So it's just people that are wanting to make a change, wanting to be showing up with everything that we spoke about. They want to be a bit more confident. They want to be showing up to work, be a better leader, be a better partner, get more hours out of their day from, the fact that you can have a stronger routine, you can get more done in your day. So if that's someone that is wanting to take the step that they haven't started, we can definitely take them on. Or if someone, clients that we've taken on, they've already been doing the training, but they don't really know what they're doing. That's when we can also take them on. So that's what it essentially comes down to, I would say. Yeah,
that's good. But I think that's important, right? Because, health and fitness doesn't discriminate, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I think, as individuals and as business owners, we need to take that on board because, it's not good enough to come up with the excuse, in my view, as a business owner. Oh, well, look, I get up at 6, I'm in the office by 7. I don't finish till 7:30. I've got to go home, kiss my wife and tuck my kids into school.
Yeah.
I haven't got time.
Yeah.
I think business is becoming so serious, so competitive, but so taxing with everything else that you got to find a way.
Yeah.
Right, of getting health and fitness. And sorry, I'm on the soapbox, right? But if you want clear decision making, if you want to feel good in terms of running a team, running a business, but also if you want to look after your family and your personal relationships, there's a few keys to helping you do that. Obviously, nutrition is important. Obviously, sleep is important, I guess.
I agree.
But you know, health and fitness for mental and physical aspects, I think, is pretty key. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we spoke about, that's what a lot of people struggle with. You know, I'm going to work at 6, finishing at 7. But what are you actually doing in that period? Like, yeah, you're at work from 6 till 7, but how efficient are you with your work? How much are you actually getting done? Are you just, you know, got that many things going through your head that you're spending 12 hours overlooking the same thing? Or are you, you know, able to give yourself that 1 hour that you're able to cut down and be able to get more out of your day? Yep. That's where a lot of people come to us, and that's, you know, the biggest issue that you see, and that's something that we hear. I'm too busy, I haven't got time. But it's like, what are you actually doing with your time? How are you actually showing up to work? Like, what are you actually doing? Like, take a step back, and how efficient are you being with your task? Are you writing everything down? Are you, you know, prioritizing your health? Or are you always going into work and
so it's a little bit of a monkey on the back there.
Yeah.
So guys, you're very passionate, eh? Like I can feel the energy in this whole discussion.
Yeah.
And it's part of why there's something special, which was your point, I think, Clayton. I mean, how do you guys develop yourselves? Like, who do you rely on to keep that passion and professional expertise and capability, you know, growing? Like, I'm interested in that, right, as perhaps a sort of a final perspective, because, yeah, it's awe-inspiring just to feel the energy when you guys talk about your business.
Yep.
So help me understand that.
So you're saying, how do we keep ourselves accountable? And
yeah, I mean, you're very well. You're coaching a bunch of people, right? And to be better versions of themselves and be more effective. But how do you ensure that you're the best version of yourself? What do you do to enhance, you know, your capability, your performance? I mean, do you coach yourself? Do you rely on others? Like, you rub up against different people. What do you do?
I think there's a lot of things. Probably some of the things you just mentioned then, like constantly learning, but looking at stuff that's valid and valuable to myself, and not just looking for everything, just finding things.
So doing your own research on things?
Yeah, just doing your own research to develop, like as a coach and just in general. But like when it comes to me, like who do I look for? To be honest, there's a few things I listen to and I look for, but to give me some inspiration to be a stronger person. It's probably a quite difficult question, because there's probably a lot of things that do actually help me be the person I am today. Like I'd say, you know, I've aspired to be like my dad. You know, like people like that are very like keep me driven, keep me accountable as well. So, because I know how hard he's worked throughout his life. So
does he keep you grounded? Sorry to interrupt.
He does keep me grounded. You know, it's always a good chat with my dad, catching up with him, sitting down with him, going through everything with him. So, you know, it's like I look at people around me and watching them achieve, and I'm like, you know, it gives me that drive to make sure, like, if they can achieve, so can I, kind of thing. But how can I do it in my way that I'm achieving in my path, kind of scenario. But I guess it's just having that drive to want to be better as a person in general. I'll be honest, I find it a bit hard of a question, because I feel there's a lot of things I could address in that question. Yeah.
No, I get it. It's a tricky question.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your perspective. So thank you for that. What's your view there?
I think for me, it's just being able to show up and be the best version that I am. So, you know, reaching out to different people, putting new challenges for myself, doing things that I'm telling clients to do, like, you know, putting myself in their shoes, taking up new challenges, things that I normally wouldn't really want to do, just sticking to the process and, you know, staying along with it. Even with our clients, there's a lot of clients who are very high performers, you know, love picking at their brain and just getting ideas. The training as well, podcasts, and just with family as well, you know, touching up, trying to make my grandma proud of making sure all her efforts to get all us siblings here to Australia, and just, you know, be able to be like one day, even though I hope she's proud of me, but always try to reach that point that I feel like I'm never going to reach, because I'm always going to be setting a higher standard. But for me, it's just, I want to make her feel like, man, she literally gave everything, like her whole life has been for us siblings. So I just want to make sure that it's all worth it for her in the end. And then for me, how do I do that? I keep myself like accountable. I keep myself taking new challenges, getting new information, new knowledge, and applying it.
Yeah, look, that's lovely. I'm sure your grandma, even though I don't know, I'm sure she is proud of you. I think if you think about both your answers to that, and I think it can be lonely as a business owner, right? As a leader at the top, right? Because, often as business owners and leaders, we're asking our teams to do all sorts of stuff, right? And improve their capability, improve their performance, right? But are we doing the same for ourselves? And how are we going about that, right? And if I look at businesses that are really successful, one of the aspects that they have is continuous improvement. And continuous improvement, in my view, is almost against human nature, because if you do something really well and you get praised for it, you think to yourself, I've done it now. How good, I've done it, right? And you think, well, I don't need to do any more on that, I've done it, right? But that's only the start, right? So internally, if you can do that and spark that continuous improvement revolution in yourself, and you've both spoken about it differently just then, I mean, that's a key element to personal success, but also as a business owner, in my view, right? Because if you can do it in yourself and keep striving, even if it's 1%ers or 0.5%ers, then you can show it to your team as well. Right? So I think that's one aspect from my perspective that's key. The other aspect you mentioned, you both mentioned it from different angles, is you measure yourself, but you use others, your dad, for instance, as a bit of a leveler, to test things with. And often I think, to be able to take yourself out of your business with someone with a different and independent perspective on things, but someone that knows you, is a great way of, just testing, your world and where it's going and how it is. Right? And I think as business owners, and leaders, we don't necessarily focus on ourselves that much. One of the benefits that you've given me is a lot more of a focus on those things. And as a result, you can be a lot more effective in terms of running your business, running your team. So very interested in your perspectives there, gentlemen. Before we part company today, do you have any final points and words that we perhaps haven't covered that you'd like to discuss?
Just to all your viewers and listeners, just keep, if you're feeling in a rut and a bit out of it, if you're around the area, always come hit us up. But if not, just try and find ways to, help yourself, elevate yourself in a way, reach out to people, and try and live a better and effective life, I guess. So, yeah.
And get the tools around you and the people around you to help you, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
No worries, mate.
Well, that was Clayton and Cristian, directors of True Exercise Science. And I said it would be a treat, and I think it was. As business owners, we learned so much about building a strong culture, a strong brand, and what mature guys for young business owners in terms of guiding their business to be well known and well respected in Western Sydney. Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, subscribe to this podcast and follow us on Instagram at JamesC_Price. And if you're up for improving your business, gaining access to knowledge, insights, our team and consultations, join our online membership portal. Visit jpabusiness.com.au.